guys, it's Lotus and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to continue on with our read-along of Guardian. Let's jump right into it. Chapter 19. This question silences everyone. After a while, the Ghost Slayer speaks. You were determined to resurrect her, whatever the cost. Sometimes, when your will is strong enough, anything is possible. But that does not mean you were right. Li Qian's eyes turn red. She looks the other way, not willing to let anyone see her weakness. She says in a dull voice, "Yes, I'm just mortal, no matter what life throws at me. My only family suddenly passes away, my parents despise me, I struggle to pay tuition, and I can't even find a job here. I'm pathetic, aren't I? I have to endure all of that, so it seems I really shouldn't have brought Grandma back. I should have just died with her." Zhao Yunlan just looks at her calmly and doesn't interrupt. Li Qian laughs coldly. "I'm like a tortoise, crawling on the ground slowly and strenuously, just for a passerby to kick me. And I land on my back. When I painfully get back on all fours, I get kicked again. Isn't it hilarious?" This girl's filled with resentment and anger, although she seems to be trying her best to restrain it. Guo Changcheng's face heats up with embarrassment. He's stupid and lazy and has been muddling through, but he got a job without any effort. He stands up and says, I'll get you a glass of water." Li Qian is too preoccupied to notice him. Zhao Yunlan asks, "The sundial responded to you, and your grandma survived, but she was still unwell afterwards. Did you take care of her?" "Who else could have done it?" Li Qian says without any expression. "My parents only agreed to take her in when they heard she was gonna die in order to save face." Zhao Yunlan nods. "You had to study, earn your own tuition and living expenses, and you also had to take care of her. That must have been tough." Lin Jing is a bit surprised. He thought Zhao Yunlan wanted to get her to talk about the incident with the hungry ghost, since she had lied about it before, but now he isn't sure what the chief is trying to get out of her. What's the point in asking these questions? But the Ghost Slayer doesn't seem impatient at all, so Lin Jing doesn't say anything and keeps his doubts to himself. Guo Changcheng fusses around and hands Li Qian a glass of warm water. The girl takes it and doesn't say anything. She stares at the glass, which is shaking in her hands. "She's always woke up at 4:30 in the morning, every day, and she always wanted to make me breakfast, but her dementia was getting worse. One time she was cooking milk and it spilled on the stove, almost causing a gas leak. So I had to wake up at 4:30 every day too, and make breakfast before she could mess things up. At noon, whether or not I had lessons or projects or was working for a tutor, I still had to take a 1-hour bus back home every day to make her lunch, make sure she took her medicine, and then rush back to school. I didn't even have time to eat lunch myself. At night, I had to settle her before I could do any studying, and she was always babbling and interrupting and wouldn't sleep before 10. I'd work until midnight, sometimes even later, until I fell asleep at the table." Li Qian takes a deep breath, looking completely exhausted. "Was it tough?" She gives a bitter smile, takes a sip of water, and says coldly, "Let's not waste any more time. There's no use talking like this. What else do you want to ask about the case? Just ask." Zhao Yunlan taps on the file in his hands. "Sorry to be insensitive, but it must be much easier for you now that your grandmother has passed away." Li Qian stares at him. "What do you mean?" Zhao Yunlan stares back. "I meant what I said, literally." Li Qian jumps up, spilling the water. "Is this how the police work? You detain innocent citizens for no reason and make false accusations?" "Sit down, calm down." Zhao Yunlan wipes the water off the table with a tissue. "What I said is just common sense, isn't it? I'm not accusing you of anything. Feelings cannot be crimes. Even if you wanted to blow up a building, as long as you don't do it, no one can blame you." Li Qian says stiffly, "I want to go home. You can't detain me." Zhao Yunlan looks at her and nods. "All right, I'll leave out the irrelevant parts. You told me this morning you saw the victim and the shadow behind her. Do you remember what the shadow looked like?" Li Qian frowns. "I didn't see it clearly. I can't remember." Zhao Yunlan smiles. His dimples deepen, but his eyes are not smiling. He looks down and says slowly, "Maybe you wouldn't remember a passerby. That's normal. But how can you forget something so frightening?" If you don't remember, why are you shaking? Li Qian freezes and her fingers tighten. Zhao Yunlan says more harshly, didn't you tell me it was black, a little short, and a little fat? Li Qian pales. Revoking your testimony is a bad idea. Tell me, did the shadow look like you described it the last time? Lin Jing slams his hand on the desk and shouts, say it! Yes, so what? Li Qian bursts out. Oh, a little short, a little fat. Zhao Yunlan repeats slowly, crossing his arms on the desk. So, was it male or female? Young or old? Everyone here except Li Qian knows what the hungry ghost looked like. There's no telling whether it was female, male, young, or old. It was a bony monster as tall as 2 humans, with a giant stomach and scythe hands. Lin Jing and Go Changcheng are looking at Li Qian with suspicion. The Ghost Slayer has his usual intimidating aura. Li Qian, still naive, feels watched by countless eyes with cold expressions, all of them knowing her secrets. She panics. Zhao Yunlan lowers his voice and almost whispers, what did I just say? What I just said was a lie. People's memories do blur, especially if they're frightened. This is why eyewitness testimony is sometimes not accurate. That thing scared you. Your brain might want to protect you from fear and shut down the memory as a defense mechanism. So what you said could be just your imagination. Go Changcheng realizes only then that this really isn't just routine questioning. It's a trial. He has a bad feeling about it. Li Qian's face turns deathly pale with defeat. Zhao Yunlan is no longer faking a smile. Now, can you tell me why you wanted to jump off the building this morning? Li Qian's chest rises and falls sharply. You didn't sleep last night, did you? When you ran up to the roof, was there a moment when you thought that if you killed yourself, you'd be freed from this curse and be forgiven? Zhao Yunlan laughs coldly. Little girl, I'm a few years older than you. Let me call you a child. Many children like you aren't afraid of death, because they're too young to comprehend it fully. Especially you. You're so determined and impulsive. You think you aren't afraid of death at all. Li Qian instinctively sneers back, but her voice is weak. What? What makes you say that? How do you know I don't understand death? I know how it feels. I have seen it. The heart stops, breathing stops, her body turns cold, becomes a corpse, becomes inhuman, and I can't find her, can't see her anymore, can't ever see her again. Li Qian. Zhao Yunlan interrupts. The thing you understand and fear is not death, but separation. You couldn't accept your grandma leaving you suddenly. The interrogation room is entirely silent. Li Qian shivers like a fallen leaf caught in the wind. Zhao Yunlan continues. The shadow you saw telling the victim, was it old, dressed in cotton, with a fake hair bun on her head? As soon as he said it, everyone's expression turns from confusion to shock. Li Qian screams, her face distorted frighteningly. Is she going crazy? Go Changcheng thinks, dumbfounded. He doesn't understand what is going on. He glances at the boss, whose fingers are twitching as if he really wants to put a cigarette in his mouth and is barely holding himself back. Zhao Yunlan's gaze is calm and serious. The light hits his face and is wrinkled, but still snow-white shirt is suddenly... Wait, let me say that sentence again. Zhao Yunlan's gaze is calm and serious. The light hits his face and his wrinkled but still snow-white shirt, and suddenly he looks like a person from another world. He takes out a photo. It's a photo of Li Qian's grandmother, wearing a gentle smile on her face. Go Changcheng recognizes her as the old lady who pounced forward to protect Li Qian from the hungry ghost. Zhao Yunlan sets the photo in front of Li Qian, then folds his hands to prop up his chin, which has sprouted a bit of stubble due to continuous overtime. This is Wang Yufen, born in spring 1940. She died last month. Cause of death was an accidental overdose of diabetes medication. Li Qian stares at the photo with wide eyes. Zhao Yunlan continues, Your grandmother is your only family. You grew up with her. The two of you must have been incredibly close. You used the sundial reincarnation, giving half your life to bring her back, When her dementia grew worse, you cared for her. My colleagues tell me that your online records show you buying almost nothing but products for the elderly. According to the doctor, even as her mind declined, your grandmother was never aggressive. So can you tell me what made you think that old grandmother would harm you after her death? Why are you so afraid of her? Li Qian freezes into a statue. Zhao Yunlan's voice softens. It's almost as if he is telling a bedtime story to a toddler. Why don't you say anything, Li Qian? I will ask you one last time. If you don't tell the truth now, you won't get another chance. You'll never be free for the rest of your life. Lies will always be lies, and they'll haunt you forever like a curse. Someone else said something similar to her today. Li Qian slowly raises her head, her eyes dull. Zhao Yunlan leans forward and fixes her with his gaze. The sundial of reincarnation connected your souls, yours and your grandmother's. Normally, you would have died together, but you're still alive, so your grandma must have died earlier than destined. I kept thinking, what went wrong? Did the underworld make a mistake, or did someone trap her living soul? But then I realized there's another possibility. The sundial could have disconnected from her, and what that means is that the person who brought her back killed her. An old person with dementia is like a child. They have no understanding, but they can be greedy and grab small snacks left around the house to eat. So can you tell me who put that bottle of diabetes pills next to the candy jar? The interrogation room is so quiet, one could have heard a pin drop. Li Qian first seems terrified, her panic ballooning, but suddenly it burst, and her expression now is strangely calm. Go Chang Chung holds his breath. He hears Li Qian's hoarse voice break the silence. Softly, she says, "It was me." End of chapter 19. Ooh, wow, we finally got a confession. So, Zhao Yunlan is interrogating Li Qian, and he calls her out on her lie, saying that your grandmother was never a violent person, and her ghost was not violent either, so why are you so scared of her? Is it because you feel guilty about something? And Li Qian, she finally admits that she was the one that cut her grandmother's life short after using the sundial of reincarnation, probably because she didn't want to have to take care of her grandmother and her dementia anymore. Whew, okay, guys, let's continue on to chapter 20. Chapter 20. When I was small, Grandma always woke me up in the morning and helped me comb my hair. Then she walked me to school and told me stories on the way, all the traditional ones, better than audiobooks. My parents don't love me, so Grandma was my favorite person in the world. Li Qian recounts as if only speaking to herself. Zhao Yunlan finally takes out a cigarette and plays around with it. Go Chang Chung freezes and asks, "Then, you stopped liking her?" Li Qian looks at him intently. "I remember you said you'd have given your life to bring your grandmother back, but your family didn't have a sundial. You're really lucky." Go Chang Chung looks at her dumbly and struggles to think of a reason. Was it because she was too much of a burden? Taking care of her was too exhausting, too? Li Qian's eyes redden as if bleeding, and she stares at him coldly. "Don't insult me with such a stupid reason." Go Chang Chung's face turns red. She slowly became a different person. She didn't remember anything. She kept babbling on and on about the same things illogically. She would pee her pants all the time, and when people looked at her, she'd just giggle. When she ate, the food got everywhere, and she drooled a lot. No matter what I was doing, how busy I was, she would always just follow me around the house, babbling incomprehensibly, day after day. Li Qian takes a breath. I saw her every day, and all I could think was, this is what I got in exchange for half my life? An icy smile appears on her distraught face. The grandma that I wanted never came back. I paid a high price, and all I got was... Li Qian's face twists viciously, and she spits out the words. A monster that looked like her. Her eyes stare straight into Go Chang Chung's soul. I hated her. Whenever I saw her, every single day of the year, I wanted to kill her. Every day, I had to patiently and gently ask her what she wanted to eat, whether she needed to go to the bathroom, whether she was tired or cold, and she would just giggle at me like an idiot. Go Chang-chung's hands are trembling on his knees. The sundial tricked me, you know? You can't bring back the dead. I didn't get my grandma back. I got a monster that tortured me day after day. Li Qian gives a sharp laugh. You don't understand anything, so don't try to judge me. When she was alive, she wouldn't leave me alone. And now she's dead, she still won't leave me alone. She'll leave you alone now, though. Go Chang-chung interrupts her. He didn't realize he could speak in such a harsh tone. She disappeared. The hungry ghost was coming for you, and you were possessed. She stepped in to protect you, and the hungry ghost killed her. She died again. We all saw it, but you didn't. Li Qian freezes. Go Chang-chung looks down in melancholy and says on the verge of tears, even if you had seen it, you'd have thought she was trying to harm you, right? But she wasn't. She wasn't trying to hurt you. She didn't blame you. She wasn't trying to get revenge. Li Qian still sits there, dumbstruck. Previously, your heart changed, yet you blame the whim of human emotions. Murder is not our department, Zhao Yunlan says, standing up and patting Go Chang-chung on the shoulder. Let's go. She can stay here for the night. Tomorrow morning, Zhu Hong will call our colleagues from criminal investigations, and they'll take it from there. I'll call Professor Shen in the morning to tell him what happened. Anything else, Your Honor? The Ghost Slayer walks up to Li Qian. His aura makes her cower instinctively. Don't be afraid. I'm not concerned with the living. The Ghost Slayer says, but it is related to the artifacts, so I must ask, where is the sundial now? It's at my place, Li Qian whispers. My parents rented us a small apartment. They never come visit. Address? Room 207, Unit 3, number 101 South City Street. Thank you. The Ghost Slayer nods and looks at Li Qian for a little longer. At last, he says, when we meet again in the underworld, you shall be treated fairly. Go Chang-chung mindlessly follows Zhao Yunlan as they walk the Ghost Slayer out. Still upset, he turns around to look at Li Qian one last time. The Ghost Slayer leaves immediately to retrieve the sundial of reincarnation before sunrise. With that, the room returns to a normal temperature, and the frozen windows gradually thaw out. The air conditioner returns to its normal operation, but Go Chang-chung still feels cold inside. He only walks numbly after Zhao Yunlan, looking like he might want to say something. Zhao Yunlan picks up his car keys and briefcase and gives him a glance. Aren't you going home? Chief Zhao. Go Chang-chung looks at his feet. Can a ghost reincarnate again? After being killed by a hungry ghost? Zhao Yunlan frowns. Probably not. So the old lady, she's really gone? Zhao Yunlan pretends to be deep in thought, then suddenly smiles. He takes out a small bottle and waves at Go Chang-chung like calling a dog. I almost forgot. Come here, kid. Go Chang-chung comes over, confused. Take this. The Ghost Slayer gave it to me. His honor sometimes shows mercy and gives people a way out. Zhao Yunlan stuffs the bottle in his hand and ambles over to the cat's bed. He covers the sleeping cat's mouth playfully and watches as Da Ching makes a snoring sound, stretches his claws and scratches him a few times. Whoever comes in early in the morning, remember to tell the canteen to make some grilled dried fish. Go Chang-chung examines the small glass bottle curiously, and his eyes widen. The old lady is inside the bottle. She's only the size of a thumbnail, quietly sitting there and smiling softly at him. Then, the wrinkles on her face rapidly disappear. Her hair grows and turns from white to black, her teeth grow back, and her body starts slimming. Soon, her face looks 30 years old, then 20. Then she shrinks and shrinks. Finally, she turns into a baby. The infant closes her eyes and disappears inside the bottle. Go Chang-chung shouts in shock. She's gone! That's a bottle of rebirth. She has entered reincarnation again. Lin Jing stands behind him. From birth to death, and from death to birth, the cycle of life and death will continue for eternity. Lin Jing continues, muttering a Buddhist mantra with lowered eyes, and says, Time to get off work. Let's go. Come to work at 9 tomorrow. There's breakfast in the cafeteria at 8, so come earlier if you like. Don't be late. Go Chang-chung is incredibly relieved. He carefully puts the bottle into his bag and happily goes home. Lin Jing turns around and says to Zhao Yunlan, "The Ghost Slayer didn't give you anything. Li Qian shouldn't have used the sundial, and the old lady died for her willingly. That is all karma, and the Ghost Slayer wouldn't intervene with destiny." Zhao Yunlan snorts and says, "All right, you're smart. You got me. Happy now? It's just that I heard you don't like this trainee because he only got in due to his uncle. Why did you have to make up a story to console him then?" Zhao Yunlan lights a cigarette and impatiently gestures for him to go. "Because I wanted to. Now, why don't you just go get lost?" Lin Jing shakes his head and sighs. When it seems like he is about to voice more opinions, Zhao Yunlan glares at him, and Lin Jing decides that discretion is the better part of valor. Zhao Yunlan locks the door and is about to go home for some much-needed sleep. But suddenly, he thinks of the Ghost Slayer and becomes curious about the 4 mystical artifacts. Prepared to skip work the next day, he drives to the address Li Qian gave. When he arrives, he finds the apartment building is shrouded in a menacing dark mist. He quickly parks the car and runs into the building with his gun drawn. A gigantic black hole is hanging above the rooftop, like the gaping maw of a monster. The elevator is out of service, so Zhao Yunlan runs up the stairs straight to the roof, which is already littered with corpses. On closer look, he finds they're all monstrous creatures, 3-headed ones, double-bellied ones, half-human and half-skeletons. All beheaded, without exception. The moonlight makes everything look covered in blood, and the Ghost Slayer is holding his blade against someone's neck. That someone is not fully human. Its entire face is covered with tumors, disgusting and terrifying. "What's wrong, Your Honor? Aren't you just here for the sundial? How did it turn into a massacre?" Zhao Yunlan tries to approach him, but his path is completely blocked by corpses. The Ghost Slayer hears him, but doesn't answer. He says to the deformed figure, "I will ask you one final time. Where is the sundial?" The monster turns its face until it's looking straight at Chief Zhao. Only then does it speak. "My master has some words for Your Honor. For centuries you have dedicated yourself to this job and always acted with self-restraint, but aren't you afraid of losing control?" The Ghost Slayer says nothing, but the air becomes more frigid. "My master pities Your Honor for your deep affection for this person, so we arranged for him to meet you. He wants to test whether you truly have no desire." The Ghost Slayer cuts off his head in one neat motion. A big burst of blood explodes outward, its stink disorienting. A strong wind gusts across the rooftop, forcing Zhao Yunlan to take cover and close his eyes. When the wind stops, the rooftop is empty. Of the corpses and monsters, nothing remains. The Ghost Slayer turns around and waves goodbye. Without a word, he disappears into a black portal. To Zhao Yunlan, his departure seems rather hasty and his posture too tense, very unlike his usual calm self. The Ghost Slayer is feared by ghosts, spirits, and even gods. Who would dare challenge him like that? The Sundial of Reincarnation. Who stole it? End of chapter 20. Okay. So, Li Qian explains why she killed her grandmother. And Zhao Yunlan's like, "Okay, well, so this is a human murder, and this is not in our jurisdiction. So we're gonna leave now. Bye." And so he's like, "Okay, everyone, take the day off." And Go Cheng Chung is really distraught because he's worried that because the grandmother's spirit was eaten by the hungry ghost, that she would not be able to reincarnate. But Chief Zhao, he has his moments. He pitied the intern and was like, "Okay, here, kid. Actually, I have this bottle here that was able to capture her soul and help her reincarnate. So don't worry about it. She's gonna be fine. She will be able to reincarnate again." So, that's really sweet because he could have just lied to him. He could have been like, "Well, she was eaten, that's it. Can't do anything about it." But he realized, wow, this intern trainee is really pure and a cinnamon roll. And, maybe we need to preserve his innocence. So, yeah, I'm not gonna lie to him. I'm not gonna lie to him and tell her that her soul is damned. I'm gonna let him know that her soul is able to move on. So, good on him. Because sometimes he can be really mean a little bit, right? Zhao Yunlan can be a little mean sometimes when he wants to, and sassy and, sarcastic. But this time he was being nice, which we love to see a multifaceted character, right? Anyway, after that, he decides, I'm gonna go check out what the Ghost Slayer is doing. So he heads over to the address, Li Qian's address, and finds that the Ghost Slayer is had massacred a whole bunch of demons who were probably also looking for the sundial of reincarnation. Now, right before he kills one of the monsters, the monster almost outed the Ghost Slayer's identity. He almost outed him. He was like, my master knows that you are infatuated with Zhao Yunlan. And the Ghost Slayer is like, shut up. And like, you know, decapitates him. And then he's like, okay, gotta go, bye. He like zips away. Even Zhao Yunlan notices that he looked kind of frantic and uneasy and, you know, worried. And that's because he almost got caught. He almost got outed. But anyway, if the Ghost Slayer didn't collect the sundial reincarnation and it's not in the apartment, then what happened to it? Who stole it? Where is it now? Will it be used for other nefarious purposes? We're gonna have to find out next time, guys. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's read-along, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye!